Have you ever really stopped to think about the hidden rules that shape pretty much everything you do online? Well, that's what we're diving into today. Information ethics. It's like the invisible code that runs your digital world. Let's get into it.
So let's start with a big one. Who decides what you can see, say, and know online? I mean, it sounds simple, but the answer to that question literally determines what shows up in your feed, what you're allowed to post, and yeah, ultimately, what you know. Every single time you scroll or search or share something, there's a whole set of rules being applied to you. So the real question is, who's writing those rules? And are they really working for you or for someone else?
To really make this hit home, we're going to follow a day in the life of our digital selves. You know, from the moment you wake up and grab your phone to when you finally log off at night. We're going to see exactly where these ethical battles are being fought every single day.
Okay, so our day kicks off like so many others, right? With that morning scroll through social media. But just beneath the surface of all those memes and vacation pics, there's this fierce battle being fought for your most valuable and honestly, your most limited resource, your attention.
And this gets us to the core ethical problem with social media. It's called the attention economy. Its main goal isn't actually to inform you, it's to keep you. The whole system, from top to bottom, is engineered to maximize the time you spend on the site, not to maximize your understanding of the world.
And this business model is so effective because it basically hijacks our own psychology. Misinformation just thrives in this environment because it's perfectly tailored to trigger our natural biases. It feels right because of confirmation bias. It starts to feel true because we've seen it 10 times. That's the illusory truth effect. And it spreads like wildfire because things that make us scared or angry are just way more likely to be shared.
So here's the crucial takeaway. The system isn't broken. Not at all. It's working exactly as it was designed to. The algorithms that power your feed are kinda ethically compromised from the start by a business model that values your engagement way more than anything else, including the truth.
Okay, let's move on to the next part of our day. You're at work now, or maybe you're studying, and you need to find some solid, reliable information. So naturally, you turn to a search engine. But right here, there's another huge ethical conflict playing out. This brings us to a really central debate in information ethics. On one hand, you have this idea that knowledge should be a public good, right? Free for everyone, kind of like a library, to help us all be more informed. But on the other hand, you have the idea that information is private property, something that needs to be protected by paywalls and copyrights to make sure that creators actually get paid for their work.
And this is the really powerful argument for that second view. People who see information as a commodity, they argue that if creators can't make a living from their work, they'll just stop creating it, and we'd be left with this empty digital world. It's a real tension, and there's no easy answer.
Now, this whole debate has been going on for decades, but now a totally new player has entered the game and is changing everything. I'm talking about AI. These language models are quickly becoming our go-to for getting answers, and they're a brand new kind of gatekeeper with some really unique and, frankly, worrying ethical problems.
And one of the biggest risks is this thing that researchers call the hallucination problem. An AI can state something that is completely made up with the exact same level of confidence as a proven fact. We're losing the source, you know? We can no longer easily trace information back to where it came from, and that poses a huge threat to the very idea of a reliable source. So, as we're moving through our day, shopping online, using maps, just browsing around, we're leaving behind this constant trail of data. And this brings us to the really critical ethics of privacy and surveillance. You know, we've moved way beyond the old idea of just one big brother watching us. The reality today is more like a digital panopticon, with hundreds of corporate little brothers all collecting, analyzing, and using our data. This constant tracking, it changes how we behave, even when we don't realize it. So if these companies are holding on to so much of our personal information, our entire intellectual footprint of every search and click, then what do they owe us in return? Well, ethics would demand they have a moral obligation to protect it. This isn't just a tech issue, it's a fundamental responsibility called a duty of care. And this duty really breaks down into 3 key things. First, they've got to keep your data confidential, making sure what you search for stays private. Second, they have to maintain its integrity so it can't be secretly changed. And third, they have to ensure its availability, so you can always get to your own information when you need it. So, how can companies actually do this? Well, one of the most ethical design choices they can make is something called privacy by default. It just means the system is automatically set to the most private option right from the start, and you have to actively choose to share more. It's all about respecting the user instead of trying to exploit them.
Okay, so we've laid out some pretty big challenges. But the goal here isn't to be fearful or to want to go live in a cabin in the woods. It's to feel empowered. We can all become smarter navigators of this super complex digital world. And the key isn't knowing how every single algorithm works. It's about having a simple, effective mental toolkit you can use to check out the information that's flying at you all day long. And here's one of the best tools out there. It's an acronym. It's called SIFT. And it's just 4 simple, really powerful moves. First, just stop before you react or share. Second, investigate the source. Who is telling you this? Third, find out if other, more reliable sources are saying the same thing. And finally, trace the information back to its original source. Seriously, making this a habit can totally transform how you see the internet.
And this is what it's all about. This is the ultimate goal, to build what's called information resilience. That just means developing the skills and the mindset to navigate the digital world with confidence without getting pushed around by all its hidden rules.
Because here's the thing, these rules, they're not set in stone. They're being written and rewritten every single day. By our choices, by our demands for better privacy, and by our refusal to pass along bad information. Once you understand the system, you gain the power to actually influence it. So the question is, what are you going to do with that power?